Assalamualaikum. Hello Velas, we are from the 12th group, so now we want to present you about history of England around the government and society in the era of the Tudor Empire. And the member of the 12th group are, my name is Rima Zafira Akbari and my friend.
Hello, my name is Haina Leonhardt.
So, this is the point that we want to explain you all. The first is Tudor Parliament, the second is rich and poor in town and country, and the third is domestic life, and the last is language and culture. And for the first point, we'll explain it by Haidar, the time for her.
Henry VII had used Parliament only for law-making. Perhaps Henry himself did not realize that by inviting Parliament to make new laws for the Reformation, he was giving it a level of authority it never had before. Tudor monarchs were certainly not more democratic than earlier kings, but by using Parliament to strengthen their policy, they actually increased Parliament authority. Parliament strengthened its position again during Edward VI reign by ordering the new prayer book to be used in all churches and forbidding the Catholic Mass. When the Catholic Queen Mary came to the throne, she succeeded in making Parliament cancel all the new Reformation laws and agreed to her marriage to Philip of Spain, but she could not persuade Parliament to accept him as King of England after her death. Today, Parliament must meet every year and remain in session for 3/4 of it. In the early 16th century, Parliament only met when the monarch ordered it. Henry VIII assembled Parliament a little more often to make the laws for church reformation, but Elizabeth, like her grandfather Henry VII, tried not to use Parliament after her Reformation settlement of 1559, and in 44 years she only let Parliament meet 13 times.
Rich and poor in city and country. Even in 1485, many villages were still in touch. Even London, a large city with a population of over 60,000 to 1,500, has felt cultivated by its citizens. Population increased, unused land was cleared for sheep, and large areas of forests were cleared to provide wood for the thriving shipbuilding industry. England began to experience greater social and economic problems than before. The government is trying to overcome the problem of rising costs by creating coins that contain up to 50% precious metal. The successful people of this new capitalist class flaunt their success by building magnificent houses and churches in the village where they work. The lives of the rich and the poor are very different. The rich eat good quality bread made from wheat, while the poor eat coarse bread made from rye and barley. When there was not enough food, the poor made bread from beans, peas, or wheat, and the rich flaunt their wealth in silk, wool, or linen clothing, while the poor wore simple leather or woolen clothing.
Domestic life. Women in England have more freedom than anywhere else in Europe. Even though they have to obey their husband, they have self-confidence and do not confine themselves to their home like women in Spain and other countries. They are allowed in a free and easy way to strangers. However, there is a dark side to married life. Most women give birth to between 8 and 15 children, and many women died in childbirth. No one dared to hope for a long marriage life because the cost of living was too great. For this reason, and because marriage is often an economic arrangement, deep emotional ties often appear to be absent. People are accepted to work hard and die young. Poor children start working at the age of 6 or 7.
And the last is language and culture. At the beginning of the Tudor period, English was still spoken in a number of different ways. There were still reminders of the Saxon, Angles, Jute, and Viking inventions in the different forms of language, spoken different parts of the country. Since the time of Chaucer, in the middle 14th century, London English itself, a mixture of South Midland and Southeastern English, had become accepted as standard English. Printing made the standard English more widely accepted amongst illiterate. For the first time, people start to think the London pronunciation as correct pronunciation. One educator in Henry VIII time spoke of the need to teach children to speak English, which is clean, polite, perfectly pronounced. Until Tudor times, the local forms of speech had been spoken by lord and peasant alike. From Tudor times onwards, the way people spoke began to show the difference between them. Educated people began to speak correct English, and uneducated people continued to speak the local dialect. Literacy increased greatly during the mid-16th century. Even though the religious houses, which had always provided traditional education, had closed. In fact, by the 17th century, about half the population could read and write. Nothing, however, showed England's new confidence more than its artistic flowering during the Renaissance. England felt the effects of the Renaissance later than much of Europe because it was an island. In the early years of the 16th century, English thinkers had become interested in 12 governments and society. The work of the Dutch philosopher Erasmus, one of them Thomas More, wrote a study of the ideal nation called Utopia, which became extremely popular throughout Europe. So yeah, this is our presentation, and thank you very much for your best attention. See you in the next discussion in our class tomorrow. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.